Final round of the Rugby Championship 2025, folks, is upon us. The Wallabies are hosting the All Blacks from Perth. Both of these sides still in with a mathematical chance of winning the competition, although the Springboks are still very much in the driver's seat for that one. We will go through the squads which have been announced. There are a few changes, some of the predictions, stats from last week in particular, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. I said both sides are mathematically in with a shot. The Wallabies are in third with their 2-3 record. They are on 11 points. So ideally, kind of bonus point win. Get a big old margin over the ABs. Gives them a crack, and then hope the Pumas do you a favour. The All Blacks are in 14th. Only a point behind the Boks, but a point maybe much of a bridge too far, and the points difference is also not pretty reading for the ABs after that affair down in Wellington. For the Wallabies, they have made a few changes, but I think we need to first give a bit of credit to James Slipper, because this is going to be his last game for the Wallabies. He's retiring after this one. He is an absolute legend of the Aussie game. He is their record test cap holder. So the fact that he gets to go out on home soil is a pretty special one. He'll be looking to cap that with a win. Dude has been around for what feels like forever. So big congratulations to him. I kind of hope he doesn't enjoy the night too much, because I still want the ABs to give it a good crack. But if we do lose it, I would not feel too bad to see that guy celebrating with his kind of friends and family and whatnot after being such a servant to the game. Billy Pollard and Alan Alatoa alongside him mean it's an all Brumbies front row, and it does feel like Joe with this lineup is trying to keep some of those club combos together. Alan Alatoa is promoted from the bench where he started last week. Remember, he's been coming back from injury, so it was kind of made sense to ease him back and not chuck him too much into the deep end. Will Skelton is also back. Big unit to have. He replaces Salakai Loto. That doesn't surprise me too much, because it's kind of like for like. If you want like that big physical tight head lock. If they can turn the screws on the All Blacks at scrum time, especially with Big Will, packing down a few extra kilos behind Alan Alatoa, then that'll be happy days for them. It's supposed to have been a rain according to the forecast, so if it does rain and there is some drop ball, they might get some action in that area, and Nick Frost is going to be their kind of main line-out operator there alongside him. Interesting that they've not changed the back row. They've kept it with Hooper, McCright, and Wilson. I mainly say interesting because Valetini is back fit and available. As I record this, they haven't uploaded either of the coaches' pre-match press conferences, but I would imagine it is Joe not wanting to, again, chuck the guy back from injury too much into the deep end, and you kind of want to ease him back into it. Plus, that Aussie back row was pretty good last week. Fraser McCright continues to tackle the house down, and Harry Wilson has been very effective all season. Tom Hooper, he's been getting over the ball. He's been getting up at line-out time. Likewise, high work rate player. So you can kind of change the dynamics when you're able to bring on some of the hard hitters, like Tupou, who's on the bench, like Valetini, who's on the bench. So maybe that's the kind of impact they are looking for from the Pine. Backs-wise, Jake Gordon takes over the number 9 jersey, another guy who's had no rugby with injury. But geez, they can't buy a trick, the Wallabies, in terms of keeping the 9s and 10s fit. Like Nick White retired, there were injuries, so he came back out of retirement. And then he retired again, and then Tate McDermott's out for the long term. So I think Nick was back training with the squad, but I think he's still retired because he's not playing in this one. But it means Jake Gordon comes back from injury and starts at 9. And then Ryan Lonergan, who was the debutant last week, is still the cover on the bench. So your 9s and 10s, man. You've been unlucky with injuries. And then interestingly, Tane Edmed gets the call at 10. I will be very curious to see what Joe's chat is about that call, because he replaces James O'Connor, who swaps to the bench. But I mean, Joe was pretty quick in his post-match last week or on the pitch side chat to talk about those missed opportunities, with penalties opting for touch. You can't be doing that. I'm not saying it's a straight drop for that reason, but you feel like it's potentially a factor. So Tane gets another start. We'll see how he goes. Remember, he is somewhat down the pecking order, but he's gotten Joe's confidence for this one. Midfield is unchanged. Ikitau and Suali'i. Suali'i left a little bit of space last week, so the All Blacks were able to get a bit of go forward. The Aussies couldn't get Suali'i's game really going ball in hand. They did lack for ball, so if they can get him into the action, I feel like that'll be pleasing. But honestly, I've been more worried about Ikitau at the moment because I feel like game for game, he's the more consistent and dangerous player between the two, even if Suoli does some more flashy stuff and gets more tries. Potter is still there on the right wing. Dalgunu promoted to the left in place of Corey Toole. Like, Corey Toole's so quick, but I feel like maybe they're thinking aerial game. Maybe because Corey Toole missed like 4 tackles last week, but Potter missed 4 as well. So I don't know, but they have made some changes there. Jorgensen is there at fullback, so kind of steady as she goes. Bench-wise, Josh Nasser comes in instead of Paenga Mosa. I would have thought Paenga Mosa, Tupou, Valetini, that's a big bunch of bodies to bring off the bench, but not to be. Tom Robertson likewise replaces Gus Bell. He's another punchy guy to bring off the bench. Gus Bell has to be injured, surely. That's why I wanted to wait for the press conference, but they're taking all day about it. Tupou, as I said, drops to the bench. Duran Williams is there. He's, Western Force player, so he'll be excited and raring to go when he comes off the bench. Valetini is there, as I mentioned. Lonergan, who got his debut last week, also missed a few tackles, like 5. Made 4, missed 5. We're going to get to those stats a bit later, but, you need to watch Cam Roigard, especially if you're in a position like Ryan Lonergan's one. James O'Connor as he drops to the bench, and then Josh Fluke, bit of a Swiss Army knife player who can cover so many positions, hasn't played for the Wallabies in about a year. He is back in the 23 jumper. For the All Blacks, they have made some injury-enforced changes. Caleb Clark is out already after just the 1 game at Eden Park. He's out injured. Bodie Barrett's injured. Ethan de Groot got concussion. Lomax is out injured. So they are going to have to make do with the players that they have left. As I said, the Wallabies have got injuries as well. But yeah, it's a whole bunch of bodies to be missing after just 1 game last week. They have promoted Tamaiti Williams and Fletcher Newell, and then Cody Taylor retains his spot. So kind of like the Wallabies have gone with an all-club back row. I forgot to mention their club connection with their 9-10 combo, but the All Blacks have gone with an all-club Crusaders combo. So we'll see if they're able to get some kind of cohesion, because I went into this rugby championship very confident about how the All Blacks forwards were going, and they looked, game 1 against Argentina got the maul going and whatnot. It was looking hunky-dory, and then we got springbokked. So, yeah, we'll see how they go up against the Wallabies in Perth. Scotty Barrett is back, the captain. He's into the second row, and Tupou Vaa'i is alongside him. That means there's no Fabian Holland, which kind of sucks because he's a giant. And he won the vast majority of our line-out ball last week. So, yeah, our line-out was 100% last week as well, which it certainly wasn't in the Wellington game. It was one of the big bounce-back areas for the ABs. So, it's a little bit, he's the captain, so you got to bring him back. But I just quite like the Vaa'i and Holland combo. Personally, Simon Parker's still there at 6. Artie Savia is still there at 7. That guy is unbelievably important. He had our most run meters for a forward last week, most defenders beaten for a forward, and he was our top equal tackler with Holland. So Artie Savia does a bit of everything. Very, very important guy. Was captain last week too, remember. Lakai, interestingly, comes in at number 8, so he's another one who's really physical around the park. Very high work rate and dangerous at the breakdown. So it is kind of a mobile and potentially breakdown orientated back row pick from the ABs. This week it means Tatiti drops to the bench, but he is still in the 23. Cam Roigard was a bit of a revelation at 9 last week for the ABs. It showed us how much we'd missed him. And as I said, he's part of the reason like the Wallabies guys were missing a few tackles. That guy is a real live wire. So he is just needs to remain fit for the rest of the year for the ABs, please. It'll put us in a much better position. As expected, Damian McKenzie gets the role at 10. In Bodie's absence, I don't think that was ever really in question, even though a lot of us would like to see Ruben Love get more game time. That guy is on the bench. Fingers crossed he's given an opportunity. Midfield, I feel like a lot of All Blacks fans are going to be happy about the fact that Quinn Tupaia gets a crack at 13. Like, he was a bit of a all over the place. Like, he had to come on the wing, but was getting involved into a bit of everything last week. Finished with like 50 run meters. Did Quinn Tupaia. Really good physical go forward ball carry. He's alongside Geordie Barrett. So fingers crossed this pairing goes right, because we've tried a few different midfield pairings. Rico's been in there. Billy Proctor's been in there. Proctor's not even in the 23 for this one. We've tried ALB. Maybe Geordie Barrett and Quinn is the one to go. We'll see. Leroy Carter continues on the right. He was impressive last week. And then Lester Fainga'anuku, speaking of things that'll make All Blacks fans happy. Yes, he's been playing pretty well in the NPC when he's been given game time. He was mostly in the midfield. I think he played one game on the right wing. But yeah, Lester Fainga'anuku back from France, back in the AB starting lineup. Not in the midfield, but I guess they could switch him mid-game if they decide that's a way to go. But yeah, in the absence of Caleb Clark, we'll certainly take a Lester Fainga'anuku. And then Will Jordan is there at fullback. He's in his 50th. He was another one of the guys who was better under the high ball last week from an AB's perspective because we've struggled a wee bit. So, yeah, in the rain, we'll see if that is forecast rain going to be a factor or not. Taukei'aho, Bauer, and Tosi, we are pulling a few of the guys outside of the 23 into the 23 to cover the props. With no Lomax and De Groot, propping structure looking a little bit thinner there. But we'll see if those two guys can do a job. Paddy Tupulotu is still there. Satiti, like I mentioned, drops to the bench. Ratsama is still the replacement 9. Didn't get many minutes last week with the game as close as it was. Rico is back in as the bench cover. That's what my dad wants to see him. He loves Rico as the guy to be able to just be kind of Johnny on the spot. We'll see if that role suits him. And then Ruben Love, as I mentioned, I would like to see him get more than a few token minutes in this game. But if it is a game that is going down to the wire, in all likelihood, he may ride the pine for a wee while. Some stats for you from an All Blacks point of view first. Last week had some really good numbers. Run meters were 555. Which is the most the All Blacks have cracked this entire rugby championship. They hadn't even cracked 400 until this point, which is surprising for the ABs because they are usually a team which gets the flow going. They usually chew through the run meter. So to see that actually happen was pleasing. It's one of the first times they've actually dominated the possession and the territory of a game in this rugby championship. You could argue, well, it was gifted to you by the ref. Even when the All Blacks were on the wrong side of the penalty count in the first half, they were still dominating the possession and territory, which is a pleasing one to see. And they were averaging 14 turnovers conceded, so coughing up too much pill going into last week's game, but last week was only 7, and that's despite having more ball. So more ball, but less coughed up ball leads to good results for the ABs, so I'll be looking to do a bit more of that. The goal kicking left a few points out there, though, which, you know, in another game, if a ref had blown a few different whistles different ways, he's only got one whistle, but you know what I mean. Those goal kicks might have been more important than they ended up being, which was, you know, not a deciding factor in that one. For the Aussies, I mean, their goal kicking was fine last week. They were 100% from the tee, but they weren't as kind of clinical in terms of the turnovers conceded thing. Remember I mentioned the All Blacks averaged 14, but last week was 7. Wallabies last week had 15. 15 turnovers conceded with like 43% of the ball. That'll include some of James O'Connor's just miss kicks for touch, or, you know, kicking out on the full. Just coughing up the ball to the opposition. You can't be doing that. But it's not all negative because, like, despite the fact they had less ball, they had less defenders beaten, clean breaks, and all the usual stuff, they only scored 1 try less than the AB, so they were still showing a bit of red zone efficiency. But man, they can't be missing 40 tackles again. 40 tackles is horrendous. I mean, Lonergan was 5, Potter was 4, the other winger was 4. Yeah, too many. Just too many from the Wallabies. They'll need to boost those numbers in Perth. Predictions wise, All Blacks are the favourites, but not by as much as they were last week. Unsurprisingly, Eden Park is not the same as Perth. Only by 4 points. I mean, last week it was 12 with the bookies, and the Rugby Forecast algorithm says 6 points. So it is predicted to be a kind of down to the wire 1-score game. Matt Carley, the Englishman, is the ref for this one. So a lot of fans were kind of crying out for, you know, Southern Hemisphere ref who blows the whistle a bit less. It's an Englishman for this one, so we'll see how he goes. Also, last week, people were bemoaning the kickoff time from an Aussie perspective because it clashed with the AFL final. Well, this week, I think the New Zealand fans might be complaining a wee bit because it'll be a late one. It's 5:45 local time in Western Australia, which makes it like 10:45 for us over here in NZ. So By the time they kick off, it'll probably be closer to 11 p.m, potentially a 1 a.m. finish. And then the Springbok game is on after that. So plan your sleep schedules carefully. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. I think the Wallabies are going to be wearing a First Nations jersey. So if you want to get one, link down in the description to the Wallabies shop. They're an affiliate of the channel. And if you want to get yourself some AB's gear as well, the All Blacks shop is also an affiliate of the channel. Check out those stores. Use the links down below and it tells them 2 cents Rugby sent you. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Bledisloe is all wrapped up, but still the Rugby Championship, 2 games to go. And as I said, technically, both teams are still in it. You guys take care. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Take care, and talk to you guys again soon. See you later.